Mr. Marvell,
Yes,
thanks for joining me on Mind Your Business podcast, man. I really appreciate you giving me your time. I'm so glad that you got the chair in this whole deal, man, because your experience of being a business owner from years, you are different where you're not a politician. You're an actual practitioner. And with being an actual practitioner, I think that gives a different degree of respect and credibility to other business owners that say, "Oh, you don't know what I'm going through, man. You didn't know. Look, I started from the kitchen table, running my computer business, doing this, and working my way up to where I no longer have to do it by myself, and I got other people." So when I heard that you had gotten a position, and then we had the opportunity to sit down and talk or stand up and talk a couple of days, we need to talk. How can? And so again, I appreciate you joining me today. Uh, and so I, don't want to take up much of your time, but we'll just chop it up and hopefully from this interview, uh, as it go out and as people see it, they will understand, or what I'm hoping people will see and understand is how to properly access the business diversity office and not just say, you know, the other people can get to them. Well, there's always a system. So
right.
I'm hoping we can uh, give people those particular steps. And so now all of a sudden, after they see it, and however long this thing is floating out there in the internet universe, people always be, "Oh, okay, now I know how and what I should do when I walk through the door, what papers I should have, what should I expect," because you all expect something from the individuals, and just as well as they should expect something from you. But we got to know what to expect and not just come in here saying, "Help me," and you be like, "What that mean?" So we kind of go from there. So again, appreciate it. And here we just casual conversation, but the overall objective is, how can a new business owner properly access the business diversity office? How can somebody that's been in business for a while and kind of at that deciding point, I don't know what to do, I think I might need to go get me a job, and then you have a person that says, "I'm clicking on all cylinders, but I want to scale." How does that?
Well, let me say this. I mean, I thank you for doing this, and I've been on the other side of the table before, and now I'm on this side of the fence and seeing what services and avenues are available for businesses. It's about the same, but a little different.
Okay.
A couple things. Let me back up just a little bit. When I took this position, coming on this side of the table,
right.
I began to see how the mayor and administration had put things together and budgeted and had money in place and put an emphasis on diversity within the city and the city's purchasing policies and procedures. In terms of going out, putting a diversity plan together, looking at a disparity study to give legal basis for what we're doing. There are three components to what we do, and I can tell you about each one of them. First one is business development. In other words, if you've got an idea or you want to start a business, you can come down to the ENOC, where we are now, ENC, Entrepreneurial Networking Center, and we can help you do that. And all of this is free. In other words, we can step you through becoming an LLC, getting your information with the county, with the city, help you with a business plan, tell you the importance of a business plan and also what it is and what it isn't. Get you heading in a direction for access to capital if you need that, and helping you kind of step through whether or not this is going to be something you really want to do. Right. Then on the other side, we've got people who already have businesses but want to do business with the city. So we've got a certification group of people. They work with you to get you certified as a minority or women-owned business within the city. That's not a showstopper for being to doing business with the city. But if you're certified now, that says that you have codes in the system, and whenever any products or services come available, you're notified. You're kept in the loop and this kind of thing. Then the third piece is the part where we actually set goals on all of the opportunities that come through this deal.
Okay.
We look at the amount of people who are out here who are ready, willing, and able to do this work, and depending on the pool, we can assign either 25 or up to 45, or in some cases 100% goal on a particular system. So when we sign these goals, though, it's incumbent upon the prime contractor, no matter who they are, to adhere to the goals. If we say there's a 30% on a building project, then they have to come back with a 30% goal with either woman or a minority business, depending on how we set the goals. And they have to have a plan to exercise and utilize these people. Now, let me share with you how successful this has been, because a lot of people don't really realize this. And what I see is people on the other side of the fence, like I was. And we're looking over and not realizing what's happening on this side of the fence. From fiscal year before I got here, we've done $87 million in city spend with eligible spend, let me say, with women and minority-owned businesses. Now we've done 103 million. So there's a $16 million uptick. And then out of that 103 million, there are 26 or 27, I'm gonna say 26 companies that have done over $1 million worth of business. So it's not like we're just sending all the money to one or two companies. We're growing the pool. And hopefully by growing this pool, then we're impacting the overall economic impact of Memphis as a whole, because as these people grow, they got to go get more subcontractors.
Employees and everything.
There you go. And we've got some of these companies that started out as subcontractors. Now they're prime contractors. We just ended yesterday a 6-week program where we've taken a bunch of subcontractors and given them all the tools that they hopefully need to now start bidding as prime. Talk to them about insurance, about bonding, about cash flow, you name it. We even brought division heads in to talk about where the opportunities were going to be within their divisions. In other words, here are the things that are going to take place. So we're trying to do everything we can to plow the field so that it's less cumbersome for people when they come through the door. Now, just by the nature of being government, adds a certain amount of complexity to the situation.
It does.
Which I didn't realize. I had multiple contracts with the city, and well, I guess I did realize it, but I didn't. It just was what it was. But at some point in time, that kind of runs people away. So it makes a smaller market because some people are not willing to do the due diligence that it takes to do the paperwork and to do everything that it takes to do business with the city. The good part about this, after you do it once or twice, you'll find out that it's not complicated. I mean,
just changing names, dates, and time.
That's all you got to do. And then the other piece is that through the Freedom of Information Act and just access to information within the government, everything's open to the public. So if you bid on a project and you lost, you could come back and get copies of the bid to see what did the winning bid do, or go talk to people, say, hey, what did I do differently? How did I fit in this so that the next time this comes around, you could be more available and maybe have a better bid and hopefully win. And so, we're heading I think in the right direction. I kind of, compliment Jim Strickland because, he's my boss. But not only because of that, but because the intentionality of what we're doing. In other words, his goal is to increase this, not to just talk about it. I mean, I'm a director level. I've got a budget that is substantial. I've hired a number of people that I hope they're good people in the areas that they're in. And we're seeing the results of that. When you look at a 30%, a $13 million uptick, I mean, that, I'm a numbers kind of guy. Now, let me share something with you. That's 13 million in certified vendors. There's another 29 million in uncertified vendors. So I'm telling my certification team, y'all need to be talking to these people about becoming certified. Because you don't have to be certified to do business with the city, but in order for me to count it, like we're talking about, we want to make sure our numbers are correct, you got to be certified.
It's almost like we show up at the door, just sign here, we've done all the paperwork for you, so we can get this, so we can get this worked out.
And so what I'm seeing though is a number of vendors who are doing a lot more business than what they've been in the past. They're not advertising this on the front page of the commercial appeal.
Right.
As a matter of fact, we wanted to feature a couple of them. They're like, hey, do somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think it's because if I'm doing, say $7, $8, $9 million worth of business with the city, I don't want my competitors to know that. I mean, I don't know. I'm just
no. We've been around long enough. We read between the lines.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. But I think what happens is there has to be, because especially in the times that we're in, there has to be some way that it has to be publicized, because in a lot of people's minds, their perception becomes their reality.
Absolutely.
And so in the business world, which you and I are in, again, that's even more prominent. And with my clients, I would always ask, well, are you certified? Do you? And have you done? Oh, no, I'm not going to get it. You're not going to get it. Well, it's getting certified is not a panacea of just guaranteeing that you're just going to get government work. You got to compete. But it's another quiver or arrow in your quiver for you to be able to say, oh, I'm recognizing opportunities and or meeting and so forth. But I kind of figured my take on it, we have to figure out a way to get people to slow down enough to understand that there's the process of obtaining business, but there's also a process of running a business.
Exactly.
And that's where government, your department comes, okay, well, how can we show you how to slow down, or the importance? And I think when John Hope Bryan came in, I've even quite sure you said it as well. You're not really a business owner, or you're not a business owner until you hire somebody.
That's right.
So how can we get people to get over that fear? Because I think it's a control, it's a control factor, it's a fear factor. If I'm hiring Mr. Mitchell, now, I'm responsible for Mr. Mitchell,
right,
his wife, his kids, his barber, the guy that cut the grass. So there's a lot of responsibility that come along with
and hiring
with
good
that.
people.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think if you don't do that, it's impossible to grow.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to, and in Memphis, everybody is fighting over talent.
Yeah.
And so to be able to hire somebody, if you hire the right person, then they'll pay for themselves over and over.
Correct.
And then if you have business, you get forced into hiring people.
That's true.
Because you can't do it all
yourself. Can't do it all. Right.
And so it's a matter of growth. I talked to a company yesterday that is growing like gangbusters. And they, quite frankly, came to me and said, hey, I'm having some problems with this growth.
Right.
And so hopefully we gave them some direction in terms of some things to look at in terms of how to grow. And in some cases, it may mean that, a changing of the way you do business.
Yeah, correct.
I shared with them that we chose to be more profitable than we did in terms of growing the gross amount.
Right.
And when it gets back to a conversation we had about keeping books and being more accurate with your bookkeeping and that kind of thing, and paperwork. Correct. If you don't keep good books, you don't know where your profit's coming from.
Correct.
And so you're out here doing something when over here you could be making,
exactly
3 times as much profit, but you don't know it because you got nothing to compare it to.
Correct.
And then, then you get into some tax issues and it's a number of things. And so you got to be available to grow. We have seminars that talk about scaling. There's a county, there's MMBC. There's just a number of folks out here.
There are a lot of great organizations. Now, one thing about Memphis, because I like to go down to New Orleans quite a bit and have the opportunity to travel to different places, but Memphis, for some odd reason, has really, unknowingly, really one of the better infrastructures for small business. Yeah. Everybody else is kind of, once you make it, we'll talk.
That's right.
Until you make it, you're going to figure it out. But Memphis say we're going to take you even all the way from the state, all the way up to the state level. There's some entity that says we want to help you grow.
And I think people have figured out that small business is the #1 employer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
when you
that
look at any
probably is it.
city, they're talking about how do we grow our base? How do we get our people working so that they're more viable,
Correct.
either in business or working for somebody else?
Correct. Correct.
But small business has historically been the #1 employer in all cities.
Yes, correct.
Part.
Correct.
And so, and then too, small business pay full price. I mean, there's no tax breaks for small business.
That is true.
There's
That
no,
is true.
tax incentives. There may be some, but not like I'm going to come in and I'm going to build a, 1 million square foot warehouse, and also I'm going to hire 400 people.
Right.
There's
small
all
business
kind of,
not asking for tax payments.
no, they're not getting any payments in lieu of taxes or
Right.
anything like
Right.
that. So,
right.
but here's something I really been wrestling with, and I'm glad you're here. And this was kind of what you asked me about, but I do see sometimes we put a cap on ourselves. And when I say a cap on ourselves, either when we're doing extremely well or when we're not doing as well.
Correct.
When we're doing extremely well, we don't really want anybody to know about it because we're afraid people that start shooting at us, put us in the newspaper, and all these kind of things. And so there's a fear about doing well, which we got to get past.
You have to get past that.
If you're in business, you gotta go for this.
You want everybody to know who you are.
That's right.
Because you letting them know I'm coming for you. Because it's amazing. I've had some of the larger insurance companies, just the presidents of the companies, to call. Say, hey, who are you? Like, who is this? Really? Really? So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I just called to check you out. Oh, okay. So you do want that. You do want that.
And I tell people most of the time that this is not, this is not T-ball.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't get a bat. Your coach doesn't pitch to you. Everybody's not pulling for you.
Right.
In this environment, this is a hardball game.
Yeah.
And the pitcher is trying to strike you out. Either they're trying to get business from you, you're trying to get business from them, or they're trying to run you out of business or whatever. Because it's about capital, and unfortunately, this is not a social event.
Correct. It's not fair.
No, it ain't fair.
It's not fair.
But it's fair because it's the way it is. And if you understand that, then you're more prone to adjust to that.
Correct.
In other words, something happens and you get undercut on a bid, or if you open up a store and something right across the street, your competitor starts selling stuff for half of what you're doing, you got to realize or anticipate that that's what he's going to do.
Exactly.
Because he doesn't want you coming in there stealing his share of the market.
Exactly.
But what I'm beginning to see, and everybody has a right to disagree with this, but the pool is just, Memphis has more development plan and going on than there are resources to handle. I mean, the banks are going to have to start getting on board in terms of loaning people of color money to, not venture capitalists, but money based on where they are in terms of their businesses. Correct. I've seen a lack in that. I think the business people are going to have to become sharper in terms of their ability to, number one, scope out business and not go after everything. Find out where their sweet spot is. I used to tell people that, I got a bear rifle, and my bear rifle doesn't shoot deer. And it doesn't shoot rabbits. It only shoots bear. Right. And I'm not going to shoot a rabbit. The rabbit can keep going. I'm not hunting for deer. When a bear come along,
I'm going to tag
him. And I'm waiting on the bear, not anything else. So you got to define your market, what you're good at, what you're profitable at, and then go after that. And then I see something else that I'm trying to figure out. How do we start trusting each other and doing business with each other?
I've asked that question myself. The only answer I can come up with personally is transparency. Most people, and we know of a few people, that on the surface appear that they're doing pretty daggum well. But once the door closes, the lights go off and the shades are drawn, they trying to figure out what in the world is going on. So we're not accustomed and understanding that a good contract and good words on a sheet of paper will make everybody honest. And without the words on the sheet of paper, it's just laissez-faire. But if we can have good contract and transparency. I trust you, you trust me, because for men especially, money is our life. That's our life. You get $1, I just gave you a piece of my life because I knew what I had to do to get that dollar. So I think if business owners, locally, nationally, whatever, African Americans, could create a little group, pockets of group, not just one major group, just pockets, and they develop a trust with each other. Then okay, I'm knowing that okay, I may have driven up in the Mercedes. I ain't got no gas in the Mercedes, but I drove up in the Mercedes. And if we trust each other enough, I trust you that you're not gonna tell everybody, look, let's go out and make this money.
Right.
But you're not gonna say, man, look at this joker just drove up here. He ain't got this minute. That's what I think. That's the fear that keep us from partnering.
Well, I see that a little bit too. I got some partners that are out of town, and let me tell you something. What I've seen over the last 15 years working with these guys. Number one, they're all millionaires, and they all have done well, and they pull me into the group, and they are honorable people. To the point to where if we're in the middle of a business deal and I got hit by a bus and my wife and family knew nothing about what we were doing, when the deal cashed out, they would bring that money and give it to my wife and my children.
That's honor and transparency and trust.
And they have, but I find that to be the norm.
Correct.
Not the exception.
Correct.
However, on the other end of the totem pole, I'm finding people, no matter how good that contract is, because I either don't understand it or I don't understand business, I tend to think that you're going to beat me.
Correct.
And I just finished talking to a couple of business people who were at each other about a business deal that they did, and they just don't understand. And when they don't, one of them understands, one of them doesn't. And when you get to a point where there's an impasse like that in a business deal, the first thing they say is they're taking advantage of it. And I'm sitting here as a neutral person saying, no, they're not. This is the way businesses is transacted. The paperwork is an operating agreement to say who's going to do what. And did you read it and did you understand it? And whether you like it and our personalities clash, we still have an operating agreement. We go back to the paperwork. But I'm seeing that the people start to say, well, Ron and Marvell are beating me. Or they're cheating me. And that ain't the case at all. And they start pausing in the business, which is just because of their feelings or lack of business acumen.
They call that on the street counting another man's pocket.
There you go. And we got to get to a point to where I was told by my dad and a couple other people and my pastor and some other folks that in order to be successful, you got to rejoice in the success of others.
Oh, most definitely. You're right.
You know, just because you got $1 doesn't mean you took mine.
Exactly.
I just sat through a session, which was pretty interesting, about the way people process certain things and the way the mind takes. And one of the exercises they took us through, they said, okay, we're going to give you guys $20. And you all go do this project together, and we're going to pay you $20 together. And they asked who wants the money. And of course, we made a decision about who's going to take the money. And they said, okay, fine. You all have to divide this money up between you. And you can't give $10 and 10. And by the way, if you take the money and you have to offer me what my piece is. And if I disagree, they take the whole $20 back.
Wow.
So you have to make an offer to me that's acceptable to me, because if I don't accept it, now neither one of us gets anything.
Wow. Because
the whole business deal disintegrates.
Correct.
Because we're not doing the business that we set out to
do. Not doing honorable business, and you're not fair to your partner.
That's absolutely correct. And what inevitably happens, the guy who took the money, who has the money, tends to believe that he has a bigger role than the person who's doing the other end, even though we hadn't done anything yet. And if I disagree with what you offer me and we fall out, the same portion of my brain that smells garbage is the same portion I feel and I think when we disagree about this. And so that was really, really eye-opening and interesting, because everybody can make a decision about what they think they ought to do. But when you got a on paper that helps some.
Right.
But even with the paperwork, I've seen 2 Harvard-trained lawyers fall out.
Yeah.
With operating agreements. So
Sure.
we got to learn how to not only trust people, but make sure the paperwork's correct.
Correct.
Also understand, get a better understanding of whether I like you, dislike you, or not. There's a certain process just transacting this business.
Correct.
And I'm finding less than 1% are taking advantage of people.
Right.
Less than 1%. Matter of fact, I don't even know, because I quit dealing with people if I think that that's the way that they're going to act.
Exactly.
And in this business environment, people are out here, they will tell you how to do it all day long. They will even give you the fishing rod, they'll give you the bait, they'll do whatever they can to help you, particularly people that I found that are successful.
Right.
But one thing I'm finding they won't do is cook you a fish sandwich.
Yeah.
They'll show you where the fish are, they will give you the rod, the reel, they'll show you how they fish. They're open to this, but they're not going to go cook their fish and then try and give it to you. So
I think, and again, I'm listening, and I'm extremely glad that you're in the position you're in, because it's all about perspective, and your perspective is from a business side, and you have really people that are wanting to be in business. Now, if I went to the University of Memphis School of Business, there's a degree of training, and I will come out with a different thought pattern and understanding, that I would understand what you're saying, because I spent 4 years, 6 years for a master's degree or whatever to understand this train. But most business owners just say, you know what, I don't think I want to make wrong money no more. I think I'm gonna open up my own shop. And so they don't really understand that there's a science to being in business. Right. So what you said about using the $20 as an example of being divided up and so forth, there's a science to being in business. And I don't know, but I hear more or less you're wanting to bring to this department the science of being in business.
Well, that's it, to the business owners, you know.
To the business. Exactly.
And we talk about business acumen. In other words, if I come in and most business people, if we're talking about, let's say, a construction project, and we're looking at the foundation of the project, there's only a few things I need to know in order to bid on this and make it go right. I need to know the square footage, you know, how the density of the concrete. You know, when do you want it done? Is this going to be in the spring, summer? You know, I got all these different variables. But if I come in, you know, talking about the frame and the nails, and I'm perceived as not as a sharp individual.
Correct.
And then if I can't tell you about my business, which we teach people, you know, the 3-minute elevator pitch. You know, somebody asks you, tell me something about yourself, and the first answer is, wait a minute now, it's about you. You know, you can't articulate who you are or what you are. Tell me 3 things about yourself. Correct. Can't say, well, hey, my name is Ron, I do this and do this. And same thing about the business. If you can't articulate your business in a meaningful way very, very quickly, then that tells people that you are not really ready. And so we see that there's opportunity to teach people the business acumen on this, but also to be honest with them about, hey, this is a hardball game. I mean, this is the big leagues. This is not, you know, everybody love you and treat you fairly, but you also have to have the ability to be a self-starter. To anticipate what might happen. And so a lot of these things come to some people pretty easily. Others, you know, and I'll share this with you. When I went into business for myself, the guy said, if you want to open up a restaurant, you need to go work in a restaurant for free. For at least 6 months. Then you need to do everything in that restaurant for free. And I told the guy that. I said, man, you need to go wash the dishes, you need to bust the tables, you need to wait tables, you need to order the food, you need to cook, you need to go to the bank, you need to do the bookkeeping. You need to do everything in this business learning off of somebody else dime,
Correct.
which is
Correct.
much more effective and a lot cheaper than trying to do this on your own dollar and trying to learn as you go.
Being in business, that's an expensive education.
There you go, because it gives a test first. And then when you fail the test, if you're smart enough, you go back and see what the answers were.
Yeah, yeah.
But if and what I see is, a lot of people in janitorial services, grass cutting, things of that nature, because those are the areas, they're low barriers of entry. I mean, it doesn't take a lot. You need to have a vehicle and some cleaning products, or you got to have a lawnmower, backhoe, whatever it takes. But when you start getting into construction, or you get into roads and those type of things, it's a little bit more sophisticated, or even in IT, it's a little more specialized. Or insurance, because now you got to have a license, you got to go through all the tests. But it's more rewarding. And you mentioned about waking up in the middle of the night. I'm pretty sure Fred Smith woke up a couple times and said, "Hey man, what am I doing here?"
I can imagine so. I can imagine so.
And just today, guy came because he was trying to get some invoices broken loose in the city, and I could relate to what he was saying. He said, "Mr. Mitchell, I got to make payroll Friday," and so I'm on the phone with the people that trying to make sure that what he told me was correct, and can we go ahead and get this man's payment to him, because maybe we hadn't done it like we should have. That's neither here nor there. Maybe he didn't do it. But what can we do today to make sure he gets his check tomorrow so that he can make his payroll on Friday?
Yeah, that is true. Tomorrow is Thursday. Yeah. He under some pressure.
And I felt his pressure.
But
it wasn't, I started talking to him a couple days ago, but it wasn't until today that he said, I got to make payroll Friday. Now, if he had told me
a couple of days ago, not everybody under pressure.
But I can understand what he's saying. Because I know how much money the city owes him, and I think we can make this work. And hopefully, I called a couple of people and talked to some folks, and I think they're going to get it taken care of today.
But I think those are things and experiences that you experience, and you say, okay, I don't need to go through that but one time.
That's right.
And so we ain't gonna have, but that's what business brings. Like we were just talking, that it's expensive. So I don't think I want to get that close to the fire no more. So we're not going to do that for you next time. This time we're going to do it, but next time you need to have all this stuff in line. And so that's where, again, I see, and it was a testament of the importance of your department and the importance of you to say, okay, well, not only I think maybe a politician say, well, okay, well, I'm using politician, an appointed person or someone that's not this is a job for them. They would say, okay, well, we're going to work our way to it. But since you had that experience and that understanding and that pressure of the payroll to this or the pressure of understanding, okay, well, I know how they do. We got a little bit of experience with this. Okay, well, so you knew how to ask the question in a way that the individual on the other side of the phone could receive it and say, okay, well, let me see what we can do to help them out. So I think that's a really important piece. Again, kudos to you being in the position. And I think people really, and I'm going to say it over and over again, and then even after we talked the other day, I said, man, I'm glad he down, because it really takes, I think, certain areas you really should have a practitioner in that area that understands, because again, if it's just a job, it's 4 o'clock, 3:59. Yep, we out of here. Quit it. The phone just rings. No, don't go nowhere. Listen, I'm finna get ready to hang up because I have to get ready to go. So I think that it's important, really, really important, and I'm really glad that you have taken the helm.
Well, it's rewarding to me. I mean, you mentioned it. Yesterday at 7:30, I was in a breakfast with some people talking about this business. Yesterday evening at 6:30, I'm talking to some more folks, after hours about what's going on. So but I keep telling people, this is what I get paid to do. And so, but I'm a numbers guy by nature, because I figure if you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
Correct.
And so my goal is to see a number of new businesses, because the more businesses we get, the more opportunities that are available.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot. What number would you like to see?
Well, now that's a whole nother area, because what I'm doing, I'm looking in the business growth area. I'm looking more quality than I am quantity.
Okay.
Now, on the other side of this, now let me, because I want to answer your question. I want to see that 13 million go up to 26 million next year. You follow what I'm saying? Or I just want to see sustainable growth in terms of hard dollars that we pay businesses.
Okay.
Now,
yeah, because that's all they count with cash. I heard you say that. If it don't cash, you can tell me I got the contract. No, I need to see what.
And the check needs to get to the
exactly,
bank.
Exactly.
So if we bring in a number of people, and we got some other things we're going to be starting with some colleges and universities around town and some other people. We're already working with the BBA and the Tennessee Small Business Association. Minority Contractors Association. So we got a group of people that we're working with. But if we and this is part of it, don't get me wrong, we need more people into the pipeline.
Correct.
And that's a piece. And we need more people certified, and that's important. Don't get me wrong.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, what is the revenue impact to these people?
Correct.
Or the revenue impact to the people we already get?
Correct.
And so that's when I say that we can come up with a goal that run 500 people through our office this year.
Right.
Okay.
But if they don't get any money, it doesn't matter.
Right. They may go into business, they may do it, but at the end of the day, if they don't get the business, if they cash the check and the check clears the bank, then we are just
right.
I'm trying to make it more meaningful, because I'm taking it to the next step.
Right.
Even though we got all these things in place, what does that mean to you as a business owner if we can't bring you in? And if you're doing $1 million this year, you ought to be doing $2 million next year, or whatever your propensity to grow is.
Correct.
And by the way, when you mentioned close to 5, the more you grow, the closer to this 5 you become.
Yeah, that is true.
Because the more business you're doing, the more people you got to hire. And somebody's not going to pay you at some point in time. So now you got to have either a line of credit or some way to fund the growth.
Correct.
Even in a good time.
Correct.
Now it could be bad when people don't pay you at all, or you don't have any you don't have any business. But this guy and some people have done the business for whatever reasons. Their checks are tied up, or something happened, and now they've got to make an adjustment, and we've got to make an adjustment with them to help them try to get paid.
Correct.
So I hope that answered your question.
No, it did, because again, in its most complicated form, it really revolves around how can I make some money, and then as part of being a Memphian, the question becomes, how can Memphis city, the city proper, Shelby County, and even the businesses that are in the county and city, how can they take a business owner, small business owner, that really, like you say, okay, I get my money, I'm gonna make payroll, I have utilities to pay, I'm spending, or my small business is spending all of its money that is received in the city, and not an out of town company coming in, setting up office and just spending their particular portion to keep their office active and alive, and then the bulk of it is going to another facility. So I think that things like that, and there's, again, I'll say again, really important for your department and people to help support it and say, okay, well, what can we do? How? And because we have to have the small business base grow, because not only is there's I guess a in tandem process that we pay, you earn, you in turn turn back around and recycle the dollars back into the city. So in whatever form.
Well, I think that's a real good analogy. It also helps abate crime. We found when you look at this, that poverty and ignorance brings on crime.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people who don't have the resources tend to do things.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was young, you know, the guy said, "Hey man, you want to be what you see."
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can see business people doing
Correct.
well, driving nice
Correct.
cars, living
Correct.
in nice spots, all of a sudden you want to be something different
Correct.
than
Correct.
what you might see in
Yeah.
terms of, you know, illegal activity.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are working on the economic side of it, and then hopefully the school system can work on the intelligence piece.
Correct.
But if we can help abate this poverty issue, and by the way, you know, I think I try to say this every time I talk to somebody. Black people in Memphis are doing real well. Now, not everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's enough black folks in here that you can't just say, okay, we're going to identify with all the poor people, because, you know, we don't want anybody to be poor,
Yeah.
or certain things happening. But I see a huge middle class.
Correct.
I see some young fellas, young men and women,
Mm-hmm.
who are doing extremely
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And, you know, whether you like what they're doing or not, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I made a comment that, you know, Young Dolph's
Mm-hmm.
millions are just
Yeah.
equivalent to anybody else's millions.
Correct.
He
Correct.
gangster rap or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily, I mean, I'm too
Correct.
old for the music.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
yeah.
the economic impact that he made in terms of the amount of money that he
Correct.
made
Correct.
is still the same kind of
Correct.
income as somebody over here.
Correct.
But we tend to look at it differently,
Mm-hmm.
because he kind of touted that, you know, he was raised, you know,
Correct.
in the
Correct.
drug scene, and then went
Right.
into the music.
Mm-hmm.
But when he got into the music, I doubt very seriously if he was,
Yeah.
you know,
interested in going back.
That's right.
Because it does revolve around opportunities and what people see. And I actually was laughing this weekend. Somebody asked me, well, or a friend of mine asked me, I said, well, how did you get into golf?
Mm-hmm.
I said, mine is different. I said, I started seeing as a young person these houses. And I used to always say, what do these folks do for a living? I mean, how does one person live in a house this, or what?
Right.
What? I got to find out what they do for a living. And my friends, even to this day, we laugh, we playing at whatever particular golf course. And I'm looking at the house, and I said, man, that's a pretty nice house. And then my friend said, you know, you got one of it. I said, you know, come to think of, thank the Lord, I do now. But it all starts from, well, what do you see? Okay, we're growing up as a kid over in the M.O.R.E.'s garden. There was, you know, it was an apartment, and I messed up and went to Whitehaven. Right. Way back at the, what's that, when Whitehaven Plaza was open, and went to the movie theater at the summer. Like, I said, man, what in the world? All these folks live in one house. I just one. How about that house from the street? Oh man, I said, oh, I got to figure something out in this whole deal. So,
and so I think it's important for people to see people doing
correct,
and seeing people doing things ethically. But the problem I got is that sometimes we have a tendency, particularly my generation. Now, your generation will be a little bit different. When we saw people doing well, we immediately thought they were doing something illegal.
Really?
Oh man. You know, one of the biggest, two of the biggest issues that I've had, and I hate to say I'm doing well, because I mean, it sounds like
it's relative. Yeah, I got you, but you're doing all right.
You know, guy, you know, he must be selling drugs. Like, man, really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, you know, not somebody else said I was broke and managing something. I'm like, man, it wasn't a time for them to say that. A better time for me. Yeah. Because I was so far from that it was unreal.
Correct.
But you know, I think that
they call that player hating. Again, that's what the young folks say. They call it player. You just player hating.
And back to my days in the street, you can't hate the player. You got to hate the
game. There you go.
And we need to understand the game. And it's a big league game.
Yeah.
It is a hard ball game.
Exactly.
And it's a high income, high powered, high expectation. The sky's the limit. You know, your income is determined by you, not by the raises you get, but by the business you develop. And one of the biggest things is being able to develop ongoing, consistent business, so that you continue to do the business over and over again, which means you're meeting your customer satisfaction. And then you get to a point to where you need multiple streams of income. I can do this in 2 or 3 different spots.
Exactly.
And now that's when you start hitting on a little bit better cylinder.
Correct.
Because now you're surrounding yourself with people who think like you, or even, you know, I think it's my wife. I told her, she told me that if you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah. It takes a lot to get past that pride. It takes a lot to get past that pride. But like I say, I first off, I again got to say I'm extremely grateful that you made yourself available for me. I guess having a relationship of years past that kind of
That doesn't hurt.
eased it a little
Right,
bit.
right.
But just the fact that, man, I really hearing is just not a placating or anything. I really hear from you. You have a heart for small minority businesses in this area.
Well, we're gonna make this thing work.
Yeah. So now, finishing all this, we done had all our good long conversation and we talked. I'm new in business or want to be in business. Yeah, I don't care whether it's selling candles or what, but how should I access your department? So it can be a long and a short answer, but how can I access your department outside of the telephone, the internet? But how can I access your department, and what should I expect? And finish it off by saying what you expect from small businesses or potential small businesses that say, when we meet, everybody got expectations, and once we meet those expectations, we should have a great relationship and we're going to help you grow.
Two things, couple things. Number one, right here at Linden and Danny Thomas, Martin Luther King and Danny Thomas, right across from the Pentecostal Temple, right down the street from the FedEx Forum. Universal Life building when I was a kid, we'd come by here and see, and guys working here and owners and all of that. And you can come here. That's the first start.
Okay.
You can walk up, you can call, you can make an appointment, whatever you want to do. We just upgraded all the computers to new equipment.
Okay.
We've got phones, we got audio visual stuff where you can do presentations if you want to bring customers in here.
Okay. Oh, okay. So this can be kind of like a little satellite.
No, it is.
Oh, okay.
It is a hub or satellite office, whatever you want to call it. It's available for the general public.
Okay.
You can use our facility downstairs, which we've got a 25 to 30 seater kind of classroom.
Okay.
With all the audio visual stuff that you need. You can schedule all of that. If you need to come and print your proposals out, excuse me. Now you don't want to print in your church bulletins, know, but
correct.
You come in, and all these things are free.
Oh,
we've hired.
Now I didn't know that. Well, I think I might need to give me some labor.
Yeah, and we've hired people who understand business development, so they're here to help. We have. I just happened to look out the window here and see the folks here. We've got some bilingual people. Okay. So that if you Spanish speaking, as a matter of fact, I even just hired a lady to speak 6 languages.
Okay.
So for the Spanish speaking population, a non-English speaking population, we've got people to help them and direct them in where they need to go. Okay. And looking at the characteristics of how they look at things, and looking at the characteristics of women. We got the entrepreneur her, which we had a big session for just women entrepreneurs. Over 150 women showed up.
Really?
Oh, wow. Yeah. And then, and just the business development stuff, we have a plethora of things to help you get from point A to point B. We got the Black Business Association that's here. They got resources. Tennessee Small Business, where they teach bookkeeping. They teach doing a business plan, this kind of thing. Now, I got to be honest with you. I'm not a big proponent of a business plan. I think a business plan is for you. That you need to sit down and figure out what it is you want to do, and then come back and figure out how you want to do it. Right. And one of the ways you just sit down and look and say, Google, where are the millionaires? Yeah. Where are the millionaires? If that's what you want to be, what is something that I can do, and with the resources that I've got, how do I get started and become successful? Correct. And so you got a cell phone, and each cell phone has access to the internet.
I say that all the time.
And you can go Google searching at any point in time. So anything, I had a problem with my car. I Googled and saw how the guy was going to fix it. I didn't fix it, but at least I saw how he could fix it. Correct. And so the same thing there. I think that, and so when we come to you, we don't have any expectations, because as long as you are ready, willing, and able,
Well,
we're
that's
willing
the
to
expectation.
help. We're willing to help.
Yeah, because it kind of go back to what you were saying earlier about the millionaire. Well, we're gonna show you where to fish. We're gonna give you the tools to fish.
Right.
But we're not gonna go sit at the lake and fish for you.
And we're not
gonna come back.
we're not gonna make a fish sandwich.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be a
Exactly.
fish sandwich. But I find that most successful people, if you talk to them, they will tell you what they went through to get to where they were. They can tell you the pitfalls, what to do, what not to do. But I find more importantly, they will tell you, hey, look, I'm going to give you my opinion. You can take some of it, all of it, or none of it.
Yeah.
It's up to you, because at the end of the day, once you decide to become an entrepreneur, you got the wheel.
That is true.
And it's purely, and you got to realize that this ain't for everybody.
Yeah.
And most people have been trained to work a job.
Correct.
It takes a different brain side of the brain to run a business, which is why I said, if I'm going into the restaurant business, I'm going to go work for a restaurant.
Right.
And I want to take the time to learn that business. If I'm going to go into construction, I'm going to go on a construction site and say, hey, man, let me work out here for free. I'm going to be here tomorrow and I'm going to work. And very few people are going to let you work for free.
Yeah.
They're going to pay you. If you come to work and you do what you need to do, they'll even help you get in business.
Yeah, that is true.
You know,
that is true.
So to end it all up, I think people just need to come, be available. The city's got a lot of things to offer.
Okay.
You know, I get paid to help you. If there's anything that you come and you don't like or you see you need, if you let me know, we'll get it. And you know, we'll make sure. That's why we got the Spanish, you know, bilingual folks. We got a class coming up probably in the next month or so to teach contractors how to speak English.
Okay.
And then also we have another class to teach contractors how to speak Spanish.
Okay.
You know, so that it's going to be like a 6 week to 6 month. I'm not sure how long it takes. Okay. But to try to get people so that the language barrier is not
an issue.
It's not an issue. And then the cultural barrier is not an issue. And so how do we do business with each other so that we can continue to do business with each other?
Okay. Well, I'm going to go on the record, since you said make suggestions. A speaker series for entrepreneurs to have, I'm going to use the word business motivational speakers. Maybe not so much all the time like a Les Brown, but the Les Brown type of
Let me ask this though, because that was something we had talked about when you said that, but we were going to do it a little differently, and we can chop this up and see what makes sense. Maybe we on the front end have a business speaker, but in the end part, and this is from feedback that I've got, more of a roundtable question and answer, such that we can have 2 or 3 questions that we answer, but more importantly, the audience can now ask questions and get feedback from it.
That would work too, because I think it's just a multiplicity of things. I guess that'd be my $5 word for today. But because as we've discussed, man, you wear so many hats and so many ideas and things and problems come to be like, well, today I'm okay with being motivated, but I need some help and I need somebody to talk me through this issue here.
That's right.
Then one day you be like, man, I don't even know how I'm gonna get up. So then that's where the motivational part or the motivational piece.
And I think people need to realize they got to sharpen their axe. You know, sometimes you got to step away from the grind and get around some other people that are doing this to get some ideas. Either good, bad, or indifferent.
Correct.
Because when you're selling insurance, you're selling insurance. And then now we come back and start talking about the trends that insurance are taking. What somebody done? You know, what activities have they put in place to make their business more profitable? Do you continue to rent or do you buy your space? And what's the long-term impact or the long-term implications of being the owner versus just continuously renting? Since you're going to continue to be in the insurance business.
Correct.
And can you buy a building big enough so you can have tenants in there, and then your rent goes down?
Your rent free.
There you go.
It's all ideas and concepts. Well, man, look, I appreciate it, Mr. Marvell, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let you go and So you can go it on. At
Well,
least they won't sit up and say, "Man, all you do is spend all
Hey,
day
look,
talking."
Hey, look, that's all I do all day. I just left a meeting and I'm on my way to another one here in a few minutes.
All right,
Hey,
then,
thank
problem.
you. But anytime that
I called myself. I thought I was gonna write something down, but I ain't need to write nothing down to remember. But I believe the flow of the conversation was just, again, I just natural flow. We just have a conversation. Say,
let me know what I
we
can
care and concern about people trying to compete.
and that's all we're trying to do.
Yeah,
But we want to make sure that they pad it up when they get on the field.
Yeah,
And that they understand the environment. And we're here trying to show them, the importance of doing the things that you're talking about.
Right.
And where we mitigate the failure if we can, as best we can. And help them be successful. Look, I got to get out of here. Thank you.
All right, then.
All right,
Let me get the mic off you.
Oh, that's right. I was ready to walk away
You
with
be
it.
walking around, you be like, how in the world, Marvell? What part of that conversation still going on? All right, turn that off.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, man. Call me about your guy with the insurance.